Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Market Insights. I'm Sarah Touchstone, Landmark Title's social media marketing strategist and educator. You get the pleasure of bringing you Market Insights on a webinar every Thursday, or excuse me, every first Thursday at 9:30 a.m. We've got a surprise coming up for you guys in the new year. We're going to be actually taking Market Insights live. So if you love this information, if you want more, I think it's going to be Market Insights and more live edition. So stay tuned for that, guys. But today we've got your webinar version. We've been doing this for a couple of years now. And it's been a pleasure to have Scott Kiburz, our ARMLS Specialist, come on and give us the stats, facts, figures in our ever-changing market. The last couple of years, guys, there has been nothing normal about this market. So you get the information here first, at the beginning, first Thursday of every month. All right, Scott, what do you got for us today?
Sarah, thank you. So as we get started today, just a reminder that the responsibility of every leader, their responsibility is to define reality. And boy, are we in some changing times. So we'll get further into that in a second. But the reality, part number one through Fast Facts, is it's true. This month's Fast Facts is almost a mirror image of last month. The number of active listings sold, absorption rate is down from in the 30% to the 24.7, almost 25%. Coming soon is down a little bit from the 480s to 445. Interest rates, ladies and gentlemen, as of when I built this slide deck for Sarah, we're still in the 6 to 7.2. Just a reminder, the Fed raised 75 basis points yesterday. That's going to have an impact on our rates for mortgage, at least for the time being. And the average sale price, 545, 430, that's holding pretty strong in the grand scheme of things for Metro Maricopa County. So when defining reality, it looks very, very, very similar to October. But ladies and gentlemen, when we dig into the numbers, which we're about to do, how we got here is completely different than how we've been getting there last month. So if anybody talks about looking back with their sellers or their buyers and go, well, here's a comp from 2 months, 3, 4, 5 months ago, ladies and gentlemen, sometimes that reality is very stagnant. It gets old very quick. You got to find out what's happening last week, last month at the longest. Sarah, let's go to the next slide and let's dig deep into these numbers. And I'm going to ask permission of the group today to stay with me because I have a couple stories that I think will bring insight to these numbers as well as the numbers. So I just want to be very clear about the agenda. A little bit from Maxwell, his newest book, The Thinker's Edge, Gary Keller with Shift. And please know, ladies and gentlemen, let me give a testimonial right here. A lot of people have read Inman News or the Inman Conference. It's been going on for 22, 23 years now. Stefan Swanepoel and his group, T360, just came out with a new website called realestatenews.com. I got a testimonial there coming up, but please know it's a free insight about real estate. It's going to talk about agents. It's going to talk about brokers. It's going to talk about brokerages and MLSs. And that's going to be news that all of us can use in this industry that's at our fingertips, and it's free. We're going to have some numerical facts. We're going to talk about absorption rate, actives, Maricopa County overview, and a Maricopa County community overview. Let's get to work deep, Sarah. Let's go. So first and foremost, this came out on the 31st, on Halloween. This is from the CEO of Redfin. And what he's talking about here, this was a Fortune article that was picked up and placed out there in a lot of different social media sites. But it talks about investor mania, and it also talks about home prices falling faster. And we're going to articulate this in a graph in about 7 or 8 from now. Next slide, Sarah. This is the example of real estate news, which I was just talking about from Stefan Swanepoel. Just please know this has got information that can help define reality for our agents, where they're working with buyers or sellers, give them credibility. And I just put some examples of what was happening out there. Ladies and gentlemen, so anywhere Anywhere is the parent company that used to be called Realogy. It's over Sotheby's and Better Homes and Gardens and things like that. And so Anywhere just had an article about it. There's a little bit about KW donating to hurricane in Florida. From an agent standpoint, there was a question posed, has the market gone cold? And it's regional specific. In this article, if you go and choose to study it a little bit deeper, not everything is the same. Things in Phoenix are different than California, or different than the Midwest or the East Coast. And then, ladies and gentlemen, again, I'm fortunate to serve on the MLS Board of Directors for one more year. It's my 9th and final year coming to an end here. But there's a tool that's being developed by an MLS out of Baltimore called Bright, and the CRMLS is California Regional MLS, Southern California. And they're looking at creating a way to put together a data share at the national level. And I just want you to know it's getting some traction. And so the headline reads, is this a turning point for the industry? That is an example of real estate news. Great insight to know. Next slide, Sarah. So Gary Keller's shift, there's 12 key points in his book, but I wanted to highlight 4 or 5 of them right up front. So number 1, find the motivated. 2, get to the table, have conversation. Don't talk at people, listen. People want to be heard, especially at this point in time. They don't want to be told what the market is. They want to be heard what their impressions are. We want to price ahead of the market. I've got a graph coming up on that. Master the market of the moment. What's happening in Metro Phoenix right now? Not last week, not 3 months from now, right now. And of course, bulletproof the transaction is double and triple prepare your transaction. Make sure you've uncovered every rock, every stone, every possible thing that could throw your transaction off. Bulletproof that transaction, because our transactions are down about 25% of what our normal run rate are, and our pricing are down between 9 and 12%, depending on what part of the metro you're in. So it's got to be perfect. If you get one of those, it's going to get to the finish line. You got to get it over the finish line. Sarah? So in the Thinker's Edge, there's some great insights here from John Maxwell. And so for everybody that's watching this currently or watching this in the future, I'm inviting you to think about your own market that might be in Goodyear. It might be in Paradise Valley. It could be in Arcadia, part of Phoenix. Wherever your market is, know that that could be different than Tempe, Chandler, or Peoria. And that there could be similarities, but not all things are the same. I was just talking to a Northern California wine country person. Just a data point there, ladies and gentlemen. They had fires in the last couple of years. They've been rebuilding homes there for a couple of years. She had a listing that went on. It had multiple offers in a week and sold for $105,000 over asking. We haven't talked about over asking in our market for quite a while, but depending on where you are in the nation and the marketplace, everything is a little bit different. So the number one thing I want to share with this group today is, number 1, look wider, look deeper and further than other people are willing to go, to make sure that you're valid in your recommendation on pricing, on negotiations, on is this the right house for the right person? Look wider, deeper, and further than other people are willing to go. Sarah? Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we've had this slide now for 3 or 4 times. I've worked hard to take it out, and I just can't yet. John Burns, Big Shifts Ahead, 2017, the economy, technology, government, and societal shifts are the big reasons that our market could change or have an impact. Ladies and gentlemen, this week, I think, is the perfect time in our nation's history to say, these are all essentially out of 10. Let me explain. From a societal shifts, we had that hurricane hit Florida. There's billions of dollars worth of damage to that state. Are people flocking out of Florida saying, I'm leaving this state forever? Not really. Is the societal shift that, are they moving further inland than they are on the coast? If there is any change, that's probably it. And the other thing is this: homes built in the 60s, 70s, and 80s had far more damage than modern building that's happened in the last 20 years. So from a societal shift, people still love the beach. They still love Florida. They love the tax benefit. That's really not going to change. But when you look at government, our elections happening, we're a week away from the midterms, billions being spent there. Technology, our metro is racing ahead with technology and advancements. And also there's millions of dollars being spent on technology within brokerages, within MLSs and associations. And finally, our economy. We've been experiencing inflation. We've got war in Ukraine still. All four of these are still at a 10. That's why you need to cast a net that's further, deeper, and wider than most are willing to do. That's when you're going to become the true economist, the chief mayor of your territory, your marketplace. Sarah? Okay, so I started this conversation saying, hey, October, November look very, very similar. So when you look at the top of the graph, September, that's essentially October 1. And when you look at October, that's essentially November 1. And you can just rip right down those two lanes and look at total actives, totals in Maricopa County. There's not much change until you get down to total Maricopa County sold and total sold single family. We're off about 500. Ladies and gentlemen, 500 homes in a normal market is not many. 500 homes when we only sold 4,058 in the month of September, and we only sold 3,500 single family in Maricopa County last month. That's about 12%. 12% could be the difference between having layoffs in your lending partnership, your title companies, your brokerage teams. 12% on an already low number of transactions can be concerning. So we're gonna dig into here and look at what these numbers represent. Sarah, I'm already gonna apologize. We're gonna go way past 10 today. Keep going, Sarah. Here we go. So what's happened with absorption rate? In going from the 1st of October into November, we've gone from 30% absorption rate down to 25. And I got some numbers of what that means here in a minute. But right now, if I have 100 homes available in an area, subdivision, zip code, Metro Phoenix as a whole is selling essentially 25% per 100. Sarah? I'm going to reiterate this again with nobody wants to get caught in no man's land. So when I originally designed this with a 30% absorption rate, 30% of the homes, 33 and a third of 100 are going to be in the market and probably get sold that month. The middle 33% is no man's land. Are they going to get picked off or not? And out of the market is out of the market. If you took no man's land and divided that into two and said, hey, each one of those represents 25% of the market, 25% of the homes in that area are in the market, 50% are in no man's land, and the other 25% are out of the market. Let me get to the numbers to drive that home for you. Next slide, Sarah. Simple math. Not that long ago, we had 4,000 active listings. We had 26 listings per zip code. We had over 100 or at 100% absorption rate every month for many months. So if I had 26 homes in that zip code, all 26 are going to essentially sell. Right now, as of the 1st, we had 16,092 homes for 153 zip codes, or 105 listings per zip code. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we just learned that 25% absorption rate, that means that 25 out of 105 are going to sell in a month, give or take. And it's usually not the ones that are outside the market. It's usually the ones that are lower in the market to provide the best value for the buyer that actually gets sold. Now let's drive into that. I need people to hold that mathematical equation in their head, please. Next slide. Okay, this didn't transfer as well as I hoped it to do, but the intent is there. Ladies and gentlemen, this is, if you could put a line over the top of all the words, you're going to see panic. Boy, this did not transfer well. My apology. I use Google Docs to get this to Sarah, and Sarah converts it. So my apology. But what we're trying to illustrate is we go from enthusiasm, exhilaration, euphoria, and then we plateau and we come over to the right to unease, denial, and then there's optimism, pessimism, capitulation, despair is in there. It's a little bit below the graph. What happens is a sine wave. What goes up is going down, and then it cycles again. At some point, goes back into hope, enthusiasm, optimism, etc. We'll do this better next time. What we're definitely seeing, what I'm trying to convey with this, and I'm improvising quickly, is that we are headed down in the cycle. And are we in despair, or have we given up? No, but certain people have, and we'll illustrate that here in a minute. But please know, we just raised basis points 0.75 yesterday. That may be the last time the Fed raises rates this year. Some people are saying one more time. Please know the Fed, all they really have to impact our economy is raise rates. So if they're done raising rates and we get to March, April next year, and they reduce rates even a little bit, maybe get them into the fives, ladies and gentlemen, if history repeats itself, we'll be back at multiple offers before you know it. Because that's really our peak season is February, March, April of every year in our marketplace. And if we do get some relief in another 5 or 6 months, holy cow, everybody's going to wish they were buying a house today and refinancing a year from now or 2 years from now. Let that be said. Next slide, Sarah. Okay, so now we're trying to differentiate what's happened between the month of October and the previous month of September. So please know this, the number of active listings just went up 500-600 homes from 15.5 to 16.1. That's a true statement. How we got there is different. And that's what I want to point out to everybody who's listening to these numbers and why they're important. Sarah? Okay, so here is what's under contract. The last 2 months, October 1st, November 1st, on the bottom right, 67 down to 6,300. Ladies and gentlemen, that's in decline mode. There's less people doing business. That's going to show up next month. It's going to show up next month in terms of closed units. So of that 6,385, there's a lot that fall out. They're only closing a little over 4,100 to 200. So not all of these that are under contract do close by the end of next month. Sarah? Now we're starting to tell some stories. Here we are. I'm trying to tell 4539. So if we get 4,000 homes closed out of the 6,300 we got under contract, it's 1,500 or so that won't close. There's just a lot of things happening with negotiations, with interest rates that are causing things not to happen. What I'm excited to share with you now is the next three slides. Sarah? Okay, let's look at history. Let's go to June of 2022, the 12,147. That's the peak month that we had new listings hit the market. So interest rates were starting to change February, March, and then in April, and we peaked at the number of new listings. Ladies and gentlemen, historically, what does that number mean? That is the number, the reason that's unseasonably high is that's the number of iBuyers in the market getting out of our market, the Open Doors, Zillow, etc. Were they emotionally attached to the sale of their home? They're not. That is a business transaction. Market's going to go down. Let's get these homes out and get them sold as quick as we can. Thus, we have a lot of new listings. When we look at October, or essentially November 1 at 7460, 7480, that number is unseasonably low, knowing that we're going into the winter months, and normally we're used to seeing a higher number there. If we go back to October of 2020, we're at 10,737, the far left of the graph. We're 3,000 fewer homes listed today because there's pessimism in the market. I'm not going to list my house because I'm going to have a hard time selling it. Sarah, next slide. These are all important, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, canceled listings. We started canceling in April. We started climbing up, but we've now peaked and it started to arc at 2,036 that canceled just in the month of October alone. That is 2,000 homes. Hold that number. We go to the next slide. The expires continue to climb up month to month. That's at 665. So let's just call it almost 3,000 homes. And that continues to go up. Ladies and gentlemen, we did get into a little bit of a trend where some people weren't signing a 6-month or a year-long listing contract. They were signing a 90-day, a 60-day listing contract. And those, for somebody who's tried to sell a home or sold a home in the last 2 or 3 years where it was just going to happen, it's not just going to happen today. It's going to take a team effort on everybody's part to get these over the finish line. So we've had a continued higher number expire because they just didn't get in closed before the contract came up. Sarah? And then also temporary off market. We're at 1615. Those people are just saying, hey, I'm going to pause. Hey, the market's a little tricky. I don't know how to interpret it. Is it cycling further down? Are we getting to the bottom of the trough or not? So when you look at those 3 last slides, you're looking at almost 4,000 homes that canceled, expired, or temporarily off market. 4,000 homes. Ladies and gentlemen, that's about how many we closed. And that's the biggest difference between October and November of this year, that we didn't see anything like this 90 days ago. We just didn't. Sarah, next slide. Okay, some traditional numbers, and this is where we're normally almost done with our time today. We're at 6,012, back up for me. We're at 6,012 active listings in Maricopa County. It's Maricopa County only. We're in the 20,000 something for all of everything. I want to point out a couple more things here. We're when I struck this report, 5,337 were under contract and closed in the last 30 days. As of the first was 3,963. That's not many compared to what our market can endure. Also, look at the trend line of the blue and the red graph, sold to list ratio, average and median sell price. Notice that they're coming in around 98%, give or take. That's not horrible, but ladies and gentlemen, we also know that people have already started to do a price reduction. Depending on where we're at in the metro, we're seeing easily an 8.5, 9% reduction in home value. Some areas are closer to 12. It's important to look at the bottom right graph and see the peak and valley. So it was May of this year that our price per square foot hit its peak. We slowed a little bit, just gradually. We're off about $25 a square foot total right now in this area. And some people look at that and say, hey, we're closer to 12% off our peak. That is reality. That's looking back. And our job is to always look forward. So let's keep going now, Sarah. So here's all of Maricopa County, and I'm going to go through these almost one by one. It's important to know. Compared to a year ago, active listings are up 170%. Solds are down 41% from a year ago. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're planning a business, if you're planning the MLS as the CEO, do we have the same number of subscribers we had this time a year ago? No, we're down about 2,000 subscribers or agent subscriptions than we had a year ago. Median sell prices are up 6%, but the last couple of years, we've been seeing 15 to almost 30, depending where you're at. Month supply is at 4.04 months. We didn't even have a full month's inventory a year ago. And days on market, 24 a year ago, currently at 46, that's up 91%. So how we're doing business today is a lot different than where it was just a year ago, just 120 days ago. So there's a lot of marketing, higher relationships, bulletproofing your transaction. All those things come into play and are very important. Sarah? Okay, so a couple more things here to point out in this slide. It's very important. This is the aggregate for the slide we just saw. Active listings, Maricopa County, 16,012. If you drop right below the word active listings and you see the green arrow pointing up, it's not quite 3% higher than it was a month ago, but it's 14% higher than 3 months ago it's 220% higher than 6 months ago. And a year ago, it's only 178. So those are the strike points of why these graphs are designed the way they are. They're important that way. A couple more things to point out on this specific slide. Solds, again, 3963 in blue. New listings, 6501. So let's just call it 4,000 to 6,500. We're going to stack more and more inventory. And so our days on market, our total number of homes available should go up. But for the first time, we've really seen an overall aggregate increase in canceled, expireds, and temporary off market. So the net gain may not be 2,500 homes, may be closer to 600-700 homes this time next month. I want you to also pay attention to new builds in that circle in black. New builds represented 4% of all home sales last month. Flips still holding at 10.8%. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm just going to give you a precursor. When we get to the point with all the listings, all the various individual cities, we had a couple cities show up selling distressed properties for the first time in a long time. Here we go, Sarah, next slide. Okay, so here's Apache Junction. So I'm just going to go into detail on this one, and then we can glean off into a couple others. So active listings are up 140%. Apache Junction is only up median sale price 1.7 compared to a year ago. Days on market is up 62%. Month supply 2.2, not 4, 2.2 in Apache Junction. Sarah, go ahead to a couple more. I want you to stop in Levine, if you would. So just take your time, show this to the audience. When we, by the way, there's 2 slides for every city. So you see the round numeric, and then you see the aggregate numbers behind it, why that's important. And the reason I asked to stop at Levine, take your time, is Levine was one of the first that showed up as a distressed property. And so just know that at some point that will come. We're hearing a lot about the car industry, that there's going to be some repossession of cars potentially. Next slide, Sarah, and stop right here. So in the reddish circle there, you're going to see distressed properties at 4%, 4.1% of all the homes in Levine were distressed. How many is that, ladies and gentlemen? That's 2. That's 2 homes. But what I'm trying to say is it showed up. It showed up. And so I'm not saying it's going to happen a lot, but it could happen more and more. So Sarah, I'm going to turn you loose to just run through the rest of the slides. For the people in the audience, I spent a lot more time in commentary than I normally do, with the Fed and interest rates, with the caution of the marketplace. To all the buyer agents and listing agents, listen like you've never listened before. Let the client be heard. Deliver any message with no load. Just deliver a message without a load, and ask for permission to speak freely in a safe environment, because it takes a team effort like never before to get homes over the finish line and closed. Sarah, that is my report for the month.
Awesome, Scott. Great information. We did have a quick question about where can you find the city that you are looking for. If you did not see it, you can get any of these infographics and all of this information from your business development manager that you saw. You can get all of this information that you just saw from your business development manager. There we go. I'm used to doing all the talking. It's when I sit, my mouth is like not used to it. If you do not see the city that you would like, once again, reach out to your business development manager and they can get you a copy of this. Like I said, we'll send out all these slides and everything after the presentation. Just reach out. If you do not currently work with one of our business development managers, please reach out to myself, sarah.touchstone@ltaz.com. I'll be happy to make the introduction and get you these slides afterwards. If you guys have any questions, please let us know. Let Scott know. We're happy to fill you in on anything that you would like. I actually had a client that had some questions. I sent them over to Scott just this week. He is a wealth of information, and we are so grateful to have him come on to Market Insights the first Thursday of every month and give us all of this information. It's incredible how quickly everything is changing. Scott, if you have time for a quick question, somebody's asking if you could comment on residential land stats.
So land doesn't show up in this aggregate. It's specialized knowledge. There are a few people that specialize in land. If you're looking at a plat to build 5,000 new homes, 3,000 new homes like Douglas Ranch, that's a different specialty piece of knowledge versus I'm trying to buy a lot on an infill lot. You're going to have to aggregate and do a lot of research for that one-off. I don't have that because it doesn't show up a lot in residential real estate. I don't have a graph like I normally would have. And if somebody wanted a one-off, I know several people who specialize in land. Be glad to pass the name off to the right person.
Yeah, they're looking for retail land, a subdivision, particularly in Scottsdale.
Yeah, that's going to be specialized knowledge right there. And you're going to want to talk to a land specialist,
yes.
Almost like a commercial specialist, actually.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, we've got referrals. So like I said, reach out to your business development manager. We can get you a referral of a specialist who you can reach out to specifically. So business development manager is going to be your resource for getting any type of contacts that you need. We're always, like I said, we're happy to be the source of the resource here at Landmark Title. And we're really glad to be the source of information that we cover on Market Insights. So thank you guys. Scott, we really did almost get right to 10 o'clock. We would have, with a couple of questions. So with that being said, if you guys want a copy of this presentation, copy of the slides, you need to reach out to anybody, please let us know. We have 7 offices as well across the valley, as well as one in Prescott for all of your escrow and title needs. So when you're busy out there and you're not getting your contracts canceled and you're picking up those expireds, please think about us on your next contract. We look forward to working with you, and we'll see you all again next month.
Thanks, Sarah. Bye, everybody.
Thanks, Scott.